All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are pushing past all those gut feelings and stepping into the world of hard data and smart decisions. We're going to talk about mastering quantitative risk analysis.
So let's start with a big one. I want you to really think about this question and keep it in the back of your mind as we go, because honestly, this question is the whole reason this entire field even exists.
Okay, first up, we've got to talk about a huge trap that so many smart, experienced leaders fall into. It's called the mirage of certainty.
I mean, it doesn't quite add up, does it? You have these brilliant people with what look like rock-solid plans, and they still fail. Well, the reason is often right here. They're leaning on these really subjective feelings instead of cold, hard numbers. They see this mirage of safety, thinking that just because they've labeled a risk as low, they've actually dealt with it.
And this quote just nails the danger perfectly. The watermelon project. I love that metaphor. You know, to everybody upstairs, everything looks great. It's all green. Everything's on track, totally under control. But underneath that thin green skin of confidence, the project is an absolute mess. A deep, bloody red of hidden problems and budget nightmares that nobody ever took the time to quantify.
So the big question is, how do you see that red before it's way too late? Well, you fire up what the source material calls the engine of precision.
And this right here is our core definition. Quantitative Risk Analysis, or QRA for short, isn't just about making a list of what could go wrong. No, it's the control system. It numerically analyzes how all those risks, when they're mashed together, actually affect your project. It's how you go from just a bunch of gut feelings to a data-driven, high-resolution discipline. And this engine, it's built from 5 supercritical parts. You start with good, high-quality data. That data feeds into your risk models. Then, those models get put through their paces with assessments, followed by analysis to figure out what really matters. And finally, you wrap it all up in clear, documented reports. Let's take a look at a couple of the most important gears in this machine. So, the real powerhouse behind QRA is something called a Monte Carlo simulation. And look, don't let the fancy name fool you. Think of it this way. Instead of just guessing one possible outcome for your project, this simulation runs thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, of different versions. Each one has slightly different numbers for costs and schedules. By looking at all those possible futures, it can tell you the actual statistical probability of hitting your deadline and your budget. No more guessing.
But here's the thing, right? You can't fight every single battle. You just don't have the time or the money. And that's where sensitivity analysis is a lifesaver. It helps you find the big hitters. A tornado diagram, like this one, visually stacks up all your risks and shows you, plain as day, which handful of threats have the biggest power to completely wreck your project. This lets you focus your energy right where it's going to make the biggest difference.
So when you put all these tools together, when you really commit to this level of detail, you build a massive strategic advantage for yourself and your organization. And when you start using QRA, the benefits are just so clear and powerful. You get precision, which makes you credible. Your decisions are actually backed by data, not just whoever's most persuasive in the room. You can rank risks objectively, which means you put your resources where they belong. And of course, your strategies for dealing with risks become way more effective.
And this point is absolutely crucial. It's a total mindset shift. Without QRA, your contingency fund is basically just a guess. You're just throwing money at a problem you don't really understand. But with QRA, that money becomes a calculated buffer. It's sized precisely to handle a threat that you have numerically defined. It's the difference between hoping and knowing.
Now, this whole data-driven approach isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. So let's take a quick look at how it gets used in the 2 main project management styles out there today.
And this comparison is really fascinating. In your classic waterfall projects, you see this huge, heavy analysis right at the beginning. The whole goal is to calculate this massive contingency fund to protect a plan that's set in stone. But in Agile, the philosophy is totally different. It's adaptive. Risk is managed constantly, and teams run these little experiments called spikes to check out threats. So really, Waterfall uses QRA to protect the plan, while Agile uses it to adapt the plan. Which brings us right back around to where we started. We are now ready to finally answer that question I asked you at the very beginning. So what is the true cost of that guess you were 100% sure was right? It's not the money you lost, it's not the schedule you blew past, it's the complete loss of your ability to integrate and manage the project. When you bet everything on a single guess, you are completely blind to the thousands of other ways things could have gone, ways a simulation could have shown you. You lose control. It's that simple.
And that's the ultimate takeaway here. The master project manager, they don't guess. They don't hope. They use the high-resolution lens of quantitative analysis to see the entire landscape of risk. They take those terrifying blind spots and turn them into a detailed, usable map, making sure that the project succeeds not by luck, but by deliberate, calculated, intelligent design.